Imagine what can become possible for your business when you integrate manifestation tools with business strategy. My name's Dr. Brooklyn Storme. Welcome to the Mentored Podcast. I just want to ask you, how do you know that what you're doing isn't working in your business, right? Whether it's a private practice or whether it's some other business that you've got going on, how do you know that what you're doing isn't working? I think this is such an important question because, hear me out, it's going to unlock a different perspective for you that you could potentially find incredibly helpful. So that's what we're talking about on today's episode. Welcome back. I'm really excited to talk with you about this because you know what? It comes up a lot, okay? And even recently, I was talking to a beautiful, beautiful client of mine, and she's been doing, a lot of hard work, okay? She's really had to almost start from scratch, yeah? She's had to update her website. She's gone and, she's optimized that. She has, what else? She created a Google business profile and she fully optimized that. She has been doing lots of things, okay? And we're past the 90 days. And she's like, where are my results? I've been doing all of the things. Where are my results? Nothing's working. And, this can come up for people. It really can. It's not uncommon. And what I want you to know is that it is by no means whatsoever any reflection of you, right? It's not that you're not doing a good job or, you're not great at what you do. It's not about that. It's about a couple of things. It's about, strategy, yes. Numbers, yes. And also, looking at how you're measuring your results. Now, in the work that I do with women who are health professionals, for them, when they're first starting their businesses, and maybe if they're in an established business, and they could have been in that established business for years, but just never learnt some of this stuff, right? And they're maybe experiencing a dip, okay? A dip in bookings or referrals or inquiries or whatever it is. It's very, very, very common to say, well, the reason that I know it's not working is because I don't have these things over here. But what I want you to take away from today's episode is that thing that you're looking at, whether it's, I know it's not working because I haven't had any new inquiries since we started doing all of this. And you said it was going to be 90 days and we're now at 115 and it's still not working. I think this is going to be particularly useful because I want you to understand that when you're looking at that number there or the absence of that number, you're looking at the end point and you're forgetting about all the other steps that your clients had to go through, okay? So what I mean by that is, just to sort of do a quick recap, before somebody finds you, they don't even know that you exist, okay? They're probably going to find you on Google, okay? That's the reality. They're probably going to find you on Google. Maybe ChatGPT. Not too many businesses are surfacing in ChatGPT in terms of volume of businesses and volume of conversations that are being had and all of that sort of stuff, but it's growing. But for now, for many businesses, it's usual for clients who've never heard of them to find them through Google. There are lots of other ways too, of course, like referral and word of mouth and stuff like that. But an internet search is one of the bigger ways, right? And so I guess once they're aware that your business exists and they found you on, on Google and they go and they click through to your website and stuff like that, they're already in the journey now, okay? Right from when they first found you, they went from not being aware of you and what you do to being aware of you and what you do, right? And then what they're going to do is spend some time clicking around, probably online. And the clicking around could look like clicking on different pages on your website. It could look like clicking through to your booking calendar. It could look like clicking through to your socials if you've included your LinkedIn or your Instagram or your Facebook or your Substack or whatever it is that you're, wherever else you're showing up in the online world. If you've included those little buttons or icons somewhere with links to them, chances are they're probably going to get clicked on too, right? And people are going to be clicking around, and the amount of time that somebody clicks around for is going to be different from person to person and industry to industry. And when we're talking about, for example, health and specifically mental health, the amount of time that somebody is going to be clicking around through all that, it's called top of funnel, right? Because that's the widest, like that's the mouth of the funnel, right? That's where it's widest and biggest. They're going to be spending a lot of time bouncing around up there for a while, like little bubbles in your soda water, just like popping away all at the top there. And in mental health, they might be bouncing around, popping around from thing to thing right up the top there for a while, okay? Even if they're other businesses, they might be doing that for a while. And you have heard me share with you before that sometimes people just find me after never hearing about me, see something and know immediately I'm the one. And they go on that book. And that'll happen for you too. But what's more common is they need time to, suss you out, like see whether or not you're the right one for them. And that's through very much a one-way relationship. They're building a relationship on their side with you via what you're putting out into the world, right? We call it your content. And content doesn't have to be social media. It could be all kinds of things. It could be your Google blog. It could be your podcast. It could be an email newsletter you have. Like there are lots of things that you could be doing. But the point is that people are going to be popping around right up there at the top of that little funnel, right at the start of their journey. And it's going to take them, a little bit of time to become interested, right? To get to the next checkpoint. So they've been to the first checkpoint of going from I've never heard of her to oh, now I have. And they've moved on to the second checkpoint and they're sussing you out and, they're seeing whether or not you might be the right practice for them or the right business for them. Then they're getting interested now. And so they want to put their big toe in the water. They want to have a sample of something that's low risk financially usually, but they want to have something that's low risk so that they can have a sample before they commit to something like paying $200 for a therapy session or whatever you're charging. So what you want to do next is at that next checkpoint, that's where you have some free things. And we've spoken about this before too, I know, but the free things you want to have, I always think as many as possible, but we don't want to confuse or overwhelm your clients. So maybe 5 to 7 free things on your website if your practice is new and establishing. If you're in business and you have flow and you have consistent inquiries, you don't need to do all of this. But at the beginning for a brand new business in 2026, the quickest way is to, it's not a nice word, aggressive, is it? But it's like to be proactive, okay? And when you've got a few different free samples, it does a few things. It demonstrates to a prospective client or customer that you have a bunch of skills, knowledge, abilities, insights, etc., that are relevant to them. And that creates even more credibility and authority for you, right? We want those things. Then with the free thing, let's say they get free thing number 1, and your free thing is so good that they would have happily paid money for it, Then what's going to happen is they're going to move to the next checkpoint. So let me stay here for a second because there are a couple of things. I know some of you are probably freaking out thinking, why, this is the first I'm hearing about, I've got to have multiple freebies. Well, it's not the first time I've ever said it. So maybe you're just new to my world, but you must have a few, okay? Like even think about yourself when you go into, I don't know, wherever, if you're, I don't know, wine tasting or your cake tasting for the wedding or something like that, you want a few samples. You're not just going to try one sample of wedding cake and make a decision. You're going to try 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different wedding cakes and then choose, right? It's the same with people coming to your website. So we want to have options. Options also means that your business is set up to capture more clients potentially than if you just had one, right? So wedding cake example again, I don't even know why this popped into my head, but it just did. But let's say it's a vanilla buttercream wedding cake, which actually sounds quite nice to me. But anyway, and you get people coming into the wedding cake store and they're like, I just don't like vanilla. And they leave, right? But what if those people liked, I don't know, vegan or flourless or, chocolate ripple cake, wedding cake, which would also be very nice, I think. And you had little samples of that. Well, they're not leaving. They're going to stay now. They're going to have the sample, right? So it's always good to have a few different samples there. Okay, so we definitely want to do that. And that brings me to the second point. Look at me not going off on a tangent this morning. I was going to, you didn't know because you're not in my head. I was going to, but I didn't. I brought myself back. I know. Are you proud? I am. Yeah, so we want to make sure that your free thing is so good that they would have paid money for it, right? They might have paid you $27 for it, $47 for it, $147 for it, whatever. In other words, if you went and visited your website as a potential client and you were just role playing, okay, and you took your business hat off and you put all your biases aside and all of that stuff, right, and you just went in cold and you saw how you were presenting your free thing, would it entice you as somebody who doesn't know your business to get it? That's number one. And I'm just going to say from the websites I see and the freebies that I see, a lot of them are underwhelming in terms of how they're presented. Okay. You want to present them nicely. Remember that people buy with their eyes, number one. So want to have a really good image of whatever it is, especially if you're in something like mental health where we don't really have visible, tangible results, right? Because we're dealing with thoughts, feelings, behaviors, things like that. It's not like we're selling physical products that people can see, but you do want to try and create an image of the thing, right? So I don't know, like for me, I use quizzes for some of my freebies. And so my image is I take a screenshot of my quiz and then I just pop into Canva and I get a mock-up and I throw the screenshot into the mock-up and that's my visual, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it looks super professional. I think when people can see something, they kind of understand that, oh, this is what it is and this is what I'm going to get. So there's that. When I say that it's underwhelming in terms of how you're encouraging people to get it, a lot of people on their websites will just say, get my free whatever it is, and they have a link. What's better is if you give it a title. So not grief and loss journal, right? No, give it a title that speaks to the result, okay? We don't want to be giving things titles that reflect where somebody is now necessarily, okay? Because we don't want to be like, I don't know, like ramping up how they might be feeling. So always think about what's the result of this free thing for the person who downloads it. How is something going to be different for them after they've downloaded it, right? Are they going to see something differently, experience something, learn something, know something, feel something, right? So think about the result or the outcome and name your thing accordingly. And you want to have a little bit of copy underneath it. And that copy ideally wants to convey to that person that it was made for them, to help them with this problem that they're experiencing. You want to let them know succinctly why you made it and why you're in a position to be making it, right? So again, we're demonstrating your credibility and authority and your leadership here. We're giving them the safe space. We're not just saying you will give them a safe space. You're actually giving them the safe space. And then you want to do things like let them know what it is they're actually going to get. So let me just see if I can bring up mine and I can tell you exactly how I share mine. And you can use my format if you want. That's totally fine. If you don't want to, that's totally fine as well. So yeah, on my website, I have a quiz and it says, like the heading for it is Discover Your Outcome Creator Archetype. Okay. The image is just an image of me doing a little assessment, right? It looks like I'm journaling or something. I'm just doing a little assessment in my office. And then the copy underneath that does a few things. So it says what it is. The Outcome Creator Archetype is a free assessment. Okay? Straight away, she knows what it is. Now I'm going to tell her what it does. That helps you to understand how you naturally approach creating the outcomes that you want in your life or business. Great. Now I'm going to tell her what she's going to learn about in just a few minutes, right? So now she knows it's not going to take her forever. You'll discover your manifestation archetype. Great. So now she knows the outcome, but she's probably also thinking, well, what else am I going to get? So I'm saying, and you're going to receive a personalized report that explains what's already working in the way you approach your goals, where you're most likely to experience challenges, and guidelines on what to do next so that you can manifest more success personally or professionally. Very clear. Okay, very clear. And then I have a call to action button beneath that that simply says, take the assessment. Okay. Very, very clear. And then when she clicks on take the assessment, she gets taken to an opt-in form. The opt-in form has a mock-up of the assessment on an iPad. And then I've got a heading, and the heading usually with my opt-ins will ask a question. And this one here says, are you ready to get more of what you want? Okay. So nice big heading that is going to make her lean in, right? She's going to see that heading, hopefully, and think, I'd like to get more of the things that I really want. Tell me more, Brooklyn. So then I'm going to tell her some more, and I've got some subtext underneath that says, answer these quick questions so that we can identify your archetype, understand why you're getting the results you're getting, and show you exactly what to focus on next to start creating different ones. All right. So clarity for her. Then I explain my, why I put it together or who I am. So I'm just like, my name's Dr. Brooklyn Storme, PhD, and I'm a personal and business mentor that helps clients use psychology to manifest goals in their life and business. So straight away, she's like, okay, this bird knows what she's talking about. Then I go on to explain a little bit about why I created this for her. So I'm giving her some context. And I'm saying, look, after working with people who want more from their lives and businesses, I noticed a pattern emerging that shaped whether they were consistently creating the outcomes they wanted or not. This quick assessment is going to give you a snapshot of 4 psychological domains that influence how you think, behave, respond emotionally, and pursue your goals. You're going to receive a personalized report that explains each dimension and what your unique results mean for you when it comes to manifesting. You'll also discover your outcome creator archetype and the specific psychological patterns that are most likely influencing your results right now. Do you see what I'm doing there? I'm saying, here's why I put it together. I put it together based on my experience, is what I'm saying. And then I'm saying what it's going to do, how it's going to help, what she's going to get. Beneath that, I have a little bit of a call to action as a subheading that just says start the assessment or take the quiz. And then I've just got 3 bullet points. And one says it's going to take you about 3 minutes. It's completely free. It's not going to cost you anything. And you're going to get immediate, in inverted commas, fixes based on your responses. And then she's got the option to pop her name and her email. And then she can do that and start the quiz. Okay. So, this is how you want to be presenting freebies. But lots of people in business, they might have a freebie and they don't know if it's getting downloaded or not. They don't know if it's working or not. They don't know if people are even clicking on the link or not, and yet they're making all these assumptions about their business and why they're not getting results and not getting inquiries, and they're just assuming that nothing's working because the inquiry isn't there. The inquiry not being there, or the booking not being there, or the sale not being there, whatever it is not a reflection that nothing you're doing is working. Okay? Anyway, so you want to make sure that the free thing is worth it to her to give you her name and email and for her to spend the 3 minutes. Okay? Now, that's why we can't just do generic stuff anymore. And that's why it's so important that you know your client and you're giving your client something that solves a problem for them. All right? And she's got to want to pay for it. So, with this quiz, for example, people would pay for this, right? I know I could sell this quiz for $47. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I know they could. No problem at all. So yeah, no generic content. And then the other thing too is once they, get your free thing, there needs to be a way for you to contain that person, for you to give them the safety net, right? So that's going to be a nurture sequence usually. So for example, with my freebies, they, like with this quiz, for example, they can put their name, their email, wait 3 or 5 seconds, the assessment appears and they can just start doing it, right? And then they're going to get a nice report at the end that they can print or they can email it to themselves, whatever. Useful, handy. It's got some practical things in it that they can do. But they're also going to get an email from me that checks that they were able to take the assessment. I want to deliver on my promise. So they're going to get an email that says, hey, it's me. I saw that you wanted to take the quiz. I'm just checking in. Were you able to take it? How did you go? Everything okay? Got any questions? That. Again, providing the experience of safety, of professionalism, of credibility, not just saying on your website you're going to give somebody a safe space, actually doing it. And then what's going to happen is she then gets, 4, 5, 6, 7 emails, one a day after that for a little while that all do something different, okay, which a whole thing. I've done other episodes on it you can go back and listen to. But anyway, so she gets put into an email sequence. And the whole idea of this is for her to see your name, get more familiar with you, you know, all of those kinds of things. And this is very, very important because, as you know, somebody needs to have 11 short, quick touch points with you in a 90-day period or with your business. So that's like very easy, one a week minimum. And they need to spend 5 to 7 hours with you in that 90-day period. That's your long form content. Long form content is something that's going to take them, 15 minutes or longer to consume. So by having your free thing there, she's had a touch point, right? It's been a few minutes for her to, in this case, take the quiz, get her results. Then she's got another touch point because she goes into her inbox and sees, hey, did you get it? And I'm showing up in integrity there. So that's 2 touch points. Then she gets a series of emails. Let's say it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the 2. There's 7 of the 11 touch points, and it's happened in like 1 week already. At the end of the nurture sequence, she just then goes into like my general Monday email list, and we'll start to get the general Monday email. So now here we go. Here are 4 more short, brief touch points. We've got our 11. Done. Easy. Okay. And the thing is, with all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes with the free thing, it does take time for you to create the emails and the sequence and to learn how to do it. If you're brand new to it and you haven't done it before, it's another learning curve. But once it's done, it's pretty much set and forget. The effort really is in setting it up. But once it's set up, it's automated and you don't have to worry about it again. And the value of this is that now you have a pipeline of clients coming to your business on autopilot. And it's doing the marketing for you, but it also means that once you're starting to consistently see clients, you can take your foot off the accelerator with feeling like you've got to be doing a lot, because in the beginning you do need to do a lot. I was saying to somebody recently about the 11 short touch points and the 5 to 7 hours on top of that. And, she was saying to me, oh, so I do 1 a week. And I said, well, yeah, but the thing is, if you do 1 short touch point a week, it's going to take you, 11 or 12 weeks before it starts converting, right? Versus if you said, oh, well, 11 things could just be 11 posts and I can just do 1 a day for 11 days, that's probably going to get your result more quickly. I'll tell you why. It's because by doing it quickly like that, we are, there's a saying called collapsing time, right? We're speeding things up. And the other reason is because if she sees something once a week, your business is quite forgettable, because think of how much content she's consuming and seeing every single day. And yours has just been one, flush in the pan. Probably not going to remember it. But if she's downloaded your free thing and she's now getting your emails for a week, right? And then she's getting your weekly emails and stuff like that. And then on top of that, she's also seeing, I don't know, whatever else you might be doing. Let's say maybe you're posting on LinkedIn, or you're having a podcast, or you're having a Substack, or whatever it is that you're doing. She starts to see all of those too at the same time. She mows through those touch points a lot more quickly. To her, it feels like you're everywhere and you're now top of mind for her. And she is now thinking, okay, I think I'm ready to do something now. And this practice is the one that I want to work with because I see her everywhere all the time. And she had this really great free thing. All right. The more you show up, the more consistently people see you, the more likely you are to get a client. And this has just been proven over and over and over and over again. I think it was years ago, Gary V. You can go and look him up on YouTube if you like. He's very direct, very down to earth. He is an entrepreneur, multimillionaire, all of this. But he started working in his dad's wine business, I think it was. And when he was trying to help his dad build the business, one of the things that he started doing was, I think he called it Wine Tuesdays or Wine Time or something like that. And he just went live on Facebook and he did it every single day for like 5 minutes. And he was just talking about a different wine or, useful information about wine, how to taste it, what to look for, what the language is, what the jargon is, what's new, what to avoid, or price ranges. Like he spoke about anything and everything to do with wine. And the business exploded. And so did he, because people were seeing him every single day. And it landed. And so from there, he became a serial entrepreneur and he helps other businesses and business owners and entrepreneurs sort of get started, grow, scale, all of the things. But, I was watching a video of his recently, and I did share this on a podcast episode with you a couple of weeks ago, but just in case you missed it, the person that was interviewing him said that he had a viewer question, and the viewer question was something along the lines of, this business owner had increased his posting on Facebook to, weekly, like once a week or something like that, or once a day or something. And he'd been doing it for a couple of weeks and it's not working. It's not seeing any results. What's another strategy? And the host sort of gave that question to Gary and Gary just kind of scoffed and he said, well, it's not about doing one piece of content a day. Like that's just not going to work. And he explained that the day before he published like 327 pieces of content. And he does that every single day. Now, he's not in solo private practice. I know. He does have people to help him. Yes. It wasn't always like that. No. I'm not saying you need to do that. No. But the point is, what gets seen gets paid. So the less you're in front of people compared to your competitor who's in front of your audience often, who do you think your audience is going to go and work with? And I've seen it happen and it's happened with me, I was one of the first business coaches for women in private practice. Now this had popped up everywhere and that's so great, so great. But a lot of those other business coaches did minimal marketing because they didn't like social media. They just had an aversion to it, for example, or they didn't know how to do marketing, right? They would just have filled out some of the stuff on their Google business profile, for example, or they didn't understand how to optimize their Facebook profiles, so that even if they weren't using it, if somebody was on Facebook and wanted to look them up, there was some information there. And because I was showing up all the time with videos like most days or posts most days and free things most days and stuff like that, even when I was at capacity and even with the fees that I was charging, women would say, that's fine, I'll go on the wait list. And I would say, it's 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, maybe you might want to go and work with a different private practice coach for now. And, they would say, oh, who do you recommend? And I would give them 3 names. And every single time they would say to me, I don't know these people. I feel like I know you. I'm happy to wait. And they waited. They paid deposits. They waited. They started 6 months later. And they're some of my best clients to this day because of the results that they got. But they wouldn't have been my clients and they wouldn't have waited and stuff like that if they didn't know me, align with my approach, trust that I could help them, all that, right? And it's because there were so many touch points that trust for many of them was created quickly. And this is how they stay in my world. Now, if I go and look at my metrics, I can see like even my school community. My school community is, I don't know. I mean, I will have to check. But I think off the top of my head, I was putting it together over January, February. So I don't know, it's mid-August now. Let's say 6 months ago, I started my little school community. And I don't talk about it much, and I don't market it much, and I don't promote it much, right? I do from time to time, but not really, okay? I haven't gone hard on growing that community. But I have about 100 people in there. And, some weeks, 1 or 2 people will leave, but then 1 or 2 people who are new come. And then the next week, 1 person might leave and 2 might come. So it hovers around 100. But when I go and have a look at my metrics and my school dashboard there, I can see that because it's so minimal, it's showing that my retention is 100%, which means people are there because maybe they like what's happening in that community, but I think mostly it's because they know and trust that I know what I'm doing, and they've seen maybe in the past that when I start things at one price, my price never goes back. It only ever goes up. So maybe they just wanted to like get in, cover themselves, all of the things, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I can also see in there my engagement, and my engagement is at 35%, which is really, 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 really good for a community. And it looks like in that space, hardly anybody's talking. And that's totally normal because there's just so few people in there. The research shows that for engagement to happen, that usually, depending again on the type of community and the industry and what it's for and all those kinds of things, usually begins without being driven so much by the community owner or leader or whatever you want to call, at the mark of about 300 to 500 members. Okay. Now, I'm nowhere near that, and I'm quite okay. But that engagement figure shows me, okay, they might not be talking to each other. They might not be posting in the community, but they're coming in week on week, downloading a thing, watching a video, getting a training, using a resource, all of this, okay? And then other things happen too, like some of them will send me an email or some of them will send me a message on school, and they will say, hey, I used your LinkedIn profile optimizer, and guess what, and I had no idea that they were even going in using this stuff because they never like or comment or share. That's normal, okay? Don't get your knickers in a twist if you've got a community and you're worried that it looks like nothing's happening. But anyway, I forget where I was going with this. Oh, the marketing. Yeah. But if I started if I said, I'm going to run an experiment and show you what this looks like, and I'm going to build my group and I'm going to role model for you. Actually, as I'm saying this, it could be a good idea. So I might write it down. Hang on. Hang on. I'm just writing it down. Okay. Now I can tell you. What I might do is role model marketing and do it for 90 days with the content and stuff like that, and show you how to, in this case it'll be grow a community. And you can use this for anything though. It's going to be for filling your diary, getting inquiry calls, getting appointments, making sales, getting sign-ups for your workshop, your sample bag, your new product, whatever it is. Okay. The strategy is the same. Don't worry about what I'm using it for. The strategy is the same. So I will actually put that in the diary for maybe a September start. That'll give me 11 days to finish doing what I'm doing in my business at the moment. The business at the moment is not the community. The business. I'll give you an update on my business in a second. So anyway, what gets seen gets paid. The more you're seen by your clients, the more clients you will get, basically. Okay. Understand too that when we're thinking about that awareness phase, right at the very top of your funnel there, the website isn't, the website is somewhere people come to check you out. It's where they come to not only check you out, but to convert, right? And a conversion is they download a thing, they take an action basically. They book a call, they sign up for whatever. It's action taking. But the website itself isn't going to just magically attract people. It's not a magnet for people, right? Your website is for conversions, but you have to get people to it, okay? That's what a lot of practitioners in private practice don't understand. They believe I've got the website, therefore I should have clients. I don't have clients, therefore my website isn't working. You're looking at the wrong thing. If nobody knows your website's there, how do you know if your website's working or not? You don't. But if you have, all these people coming over and no one's taking an action, it's not converting, then you know there's a problem. All right. So take a step back and look at, okay, how can I get people over to my website? And so this is where those touch points come in at the top of your funnel. So the more of those you have in the beginning, the quicker you can build awareness of your business, number one, which means the more traffic we can get over to your website or your diary or your free thing or whatever it is you're promoting, the more conversions we can get, right? The other advantage of having lots of things at that top of funnel is over time, and I don't mean just 90 days, because 90 days is just the initial warming up. You're preheating the oven, all right? We're not actually baking anything yet. I would say give it a good 12 months of consistency. And when you look at your metrics, when you have a look at your numbers, you will see a clear couple of winners that work for your business, for your clients. And then you'll be able to drop the other things, okay? So if I look at the top of my funnel, right, I have now my Facebook profile, my Facebook business page, my Facebook community. I've got my podcast, my website, a LinkedIn profile that's just been introduced. It's just been introduced. I had a LinkedIn profile, but I never used it and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm in the process of setting it up to use it, but that's part of the mix now. So, and the Google business profile, I haven't set up yet. I'm still talking to Google support about merging to existing profiles, whatever. But that'll be 7 touch points, right? But it used to be bigger than that. I used to also have Instagram, that's number 8, YouTube, number 9, right? And other things which, I've clearly deleted from my memory at the moment. But that was not, Psychology Today profile, there we go. I don't have that anymore either. So I was doing so many things, and it's important because you need to do that to know what's working, okay? It's like if you sold Smarties or M&Ms and you sold them by individual color. After a certain period of time, you're going to be able to track which is the most popular color and which is the least popular, and you'll just delete the least popular ones from your line, right? And you might start making more things around the winning colors. It's the same here with your awareness. In the beginning, we want to have a range of things all the time, find out what's working, and that's how you refine. Then they come and they show some interest, right? So some of those people are going to be interested. We want them to get the samples. That's what we spoke about with the freebies. They're blown away by how awesome your freebie was, hopefully. And a couple of things are going to happen. Yes, they're going to be in your email sequence now. That's great. But they're thinking now they're more confident with you. They know that you know what you're doing and what you're talking about. They're interested even more now. They come back to the website now and they see what else they can get because they feel like it's so valuable and they don't want to miss anything. So they come back and they download all the other free things really quickly before you might delete them off your website or something, right? There's like urgency now. And so you see, and you can see the names in your email marketing. Beside every person's name and email address, you will have your little segments and it shows you the actions that they've taken. And you will see like the people that end up working with you will usually have downloaded like everything. They're obsessed, like they love it and they keep an eye on what you're doing because they don't want to miss out on the next thing, right? Especially when they see that you end up selling it. And then they feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't even have to pay for that, and so they stay in your world a little bit longer and a little bit longer and eventually start working with you. So please, if you go and check your website, have a look at how you're selling your free thing, through the eyes of a potential client who's never heard of you before, ask yourself the way you've presented it, would it excite somebody? Or if it's not about exciting them, would it make them curious, interested, whatever it is, enough to go and download it? And then what's the experience like for them when are you telling them what it is, what it does, why you made it, what your who you are to actually make it? Like, are you doing all of that? Are you collecting the names and the emails? Very, very important. So from there, you'll have a bunch of free things and you will start to see which ones are working for your business and which ones aren't. Delete the ones that aren't, just put them on the back burner, just unpublish them. You can do something with them later on, but for now, just get them off the website. Keep the ones on that are working and introduce another one or two. Keep it fresh, okay? Always keeping it fresh, having some new stuff on so people have a reason to come back. We want retention, okay? So when you're checking your Google Analytics, for example, you can see it says you had this many unique visitors and, this was your total visitors. We want to look at both numbers because they tell us very important stuff. We want to see both going up all the time because unique visitors say this is one person and maybe it's the first time that they've come to your website, and the balance of that is people who are returning, okay? Both numbers are important for different reasons, so we want to have a look at that. From the free thing, people are going to take time because maybe they had a really awesome experience with your free things and they're just waiting to be in a better position in life before they come and work with you, okay? Perfectly okay, right? But they're going to be, and we don't know what's going on in other people's lives. We don't. They could be getting married, getting divorced, having children, not having children, moving country, like moving house. They could be managing their own mental health, like finishing a degree, a course, something like that. And they're like, once I've done this, then that, right? Then I'm going to go and do, Stephanie's course. This is what is going on in their mind. You don't know what's going on in their mind. You have no way of knowing, but it's happening. And then there's going to be other people who say, oh my gosh, this was so good. I'm sold. This is who I need to work with. I found my person. They're going to come back to the website or they're going to click a link in your email and they're going to take an action, whether that's buy the thing, sign up, register, get on the wait list, book the session, buy the product, whatever it is. They're going to take an action, okay? And there's going to be a chunk of people who, don't do anything as well. That funnel is called a funnel because each time somebody drops down a level, the number of people gets smaller and smaller. Okay. So, yeah. And then eventually they convert and they're working with you and the money is coming. This is great. Now, the problem for some women is they say, I didn't make any sales. I've done everything. I changed the website. I did my Google profile. I did this. I did that. You said 90 days. It's not working for me. I need another strategy. I need another course. I need to book more supervision. I need. They get stuck in overwhelm because they're panicking. There's urgency. It's like desperate energy now because they don't know why it's not working. They think it should be. And so it's very important that you have context. And I know many of you know about the 90 days, and that's great, but there's other things to it as well. For example, understanding that there are all these steps that somebody goes through before they convert. So you can't say, I changed my website, you said 90 days, it's not working, I'm going to change it back because my husband and I really liked it the way it was before you told us to change it, and blah, 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 right? What you want to be doing is measuring at each of those levels. What are you going to be measuring? Okay, you want to measure how many ways did you drive traffic to your website this week? Okay, and of those ways, which ones worked? And Google Analytics will tell you. So if you posted a post on, I don't know, Facebook, and you put one on Instagram, and you, listed yourself in a directory, natural therapy pages or something like that, and people start coming over to your website, Google Analytics will tell you where they came from. Okay, so we want to look at that. So we want to know, what are you actually doing to get people over to your website, and how's that working out for you, so that we can see of the different things you're doing, which ones we should put a pin in for now, come back to later, which ones can we optimize because they seem to be the biggest levers for you at the moment. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to be looking at, okay, when people are coming over to the website, why aren't they converting? What's happening? Am I getting enough traffic to know if this is working or not? How much traffic should a business like mine be getting? So you have to understand benchmarks, okay? So benchmarks are just industry averages for all kinds of things. So I have a tool that I made this week for benchmarks. And yeah, so for a brand new small business, on average, you're looking at getting between 1,000 and 10,000 visitors to your website each month. But what's typical for a small business like a solo private practice that is brand new is less than 1,000 for the first 6 months, unless you're doing paid ads. Okay, so that gives you a benchmark there. If you look at your numbers on Google Analytics or your website dashboard, whatever it is, and you see, oh, only 77 people came, but you know the benchmark is under 1,000 for a new business like yours for the first 6 months, then that puts it into perspective for you. It doesn't say that you will be getting 1,000. It says under. What we do want to do is, of course, get more traffic to it. And that's where doing things like letting people know that you've got a website can be super duper helpful. Lots of ways of doing that. About 50% of the people that find you are going to be doing it through a Google search, right? That's a benchmark for you to have a look at. People who search for you by name, that's becoming more common than Googling a business name. So, my business is just my name, just brooklynstorme.com. And I can have all kinds of programs and offers with their own program name, offer name under that. But my business is just my name. And people will go and they'll just type Brooklyn Storme into Google and my stuff comes up. People are doing that more now than typing a business name. And there's some interesting research around why this is happening as well, by the way. Like, for example, some people are attributing it to information overwhelm, and they're just saying, listen, the general public just has access to so much information right now. It's just not possible for them to remember the name of a business, especially if you've got a weird sounding business name that doesn't roll off the tongue or isn't memorable, right? They're going to forget the name of your business, even though they might have really liked you. So, interesting. It's a number to keep your eye on. With social media, between 2 and 8% will click through to a website based on something that you've done, but it's pretty low conversions. With getting traffic to your website from AI, it's less than 1%, but it's a much higher conversion rate. And what I mean by that is Google's going to send more people to your website, but they're tire kickers by and large, okay? i.e. not great quality visitors. For every 100 people that Google send to your website, 2 will take an action. But AI sends less people to your website, but for every 100 that AI sends over, 12 people will book, pay for something, take an action. Much better quality, which is why when I work with my clients, I stress the importance of making sure that the business is set up to be optimized for AI discoverability so that they can surface in it. And the quicker they do it, the quicker they can claim their little space in the world of AI. It's very, very important. This number is only going to grow. You need to know your metrics and the benchmarks for emails, right? So you got your freebie there and you send an email. You might be thinking, oh, my website's not working. I did what you said. I sent the freebie, people are downloading it, but I'm still not getting clients. Freebies don't work. How do you know it was the freebie and not that there was an issue with the subject line on your email, right? And if you change that subject line on your email, maybe more people will open it. More people that open it, we increase the potential for somebody to click a link in it. We increase the potential for action taking, right? So do you see what I'm saying? Like, you've got to understand the ballpark in general, right? So let's say the ballpark in general for somebody to open an email that you send is 20%, which it is, right? That's a given, 20% on average. So you might have an email list of 100 people. You send your email letting everybody know that you've got availability coming up over the school holidays. You're lucky if 20 people open that email, okay? And they're not going to open it not because they don't like you. They're going to open it because the subject line didn't land for them, or because they've forgotten who you are, or because it feels like, I don't know, salesy or something, depending on what's written in the subject line or the preview text or whatever. There are other reasons why the inquiries aren't coming through, but you need to understand the metrics first. So you can go into your email marketing platform. I use Flowdesk, but you might use MailChimp or MailerLite or whatever it is. And you can go in and you can see, click on all the emails that you've sent previously over the last 12 months and tally them up, because like tally up the open rates, because you will get a better idea of, okay, on average, yeah, it looks like 30% of people open my emails. So that's not bad. I'm doing, 50% better than other businesses on average. That tells me I'm doing something right and I'm doing something good. That email works for me. How can I leverage this now? Right? Start looking at how you can leverage that to get more conversions. And you'll understand how to leverage it by looking at, okay, I've got a really low click-through rate here. So lots of people open it. They like to open my emails, which tells me I'm sending good stuff, right? But they're just not interested in what I'm clicking on, in what I'm offering in them. I wonder why not. I wonder how I could play around with this. What could I change? If I change, and this is the other thing, just change one thing at a time. Because if you say, well, I'll change, I don't know, instead of just saying like, come and get my thing, I'm going to include an image and a description and this and that. Then you will never know, when you do get an improvement, you'll never know what caused the improvement. And that's going to be a problem because you won't be able to replicate it. Or you'll be stuck with a format that perhaps takes you a lot of time, and maybe it's unnecessary. Maybe the only thing that needed to change was that you started including a button in the email instead of a link, right? Stuff like that. So you need to understand your metrics at all those different points. And from the freebies, for example, then you're going to have ideally something that is for people who are now wanting to work with you, but they're in a little bit of a holding pattern for whatever reason. We don't want to lose them. They're now your warm audience. We don't want to lose them. We don't want them to forget about you. You need to still keep showing up. And a really great way to do that is to have a few different low ticket things that they can buy. So as somebody who's had like a gazillion of them, as many of you know, I know that, and again, you'll probably know this as well, for with my business, there were like some standout low ticket products. One of them was the essential forms in private practice, which many of you have purchased. The other one was the website wellness check, which many of you have purchased. And those convert to clients, right? Because they're an opportunity for a client to see the value of working with somebody that knows a little bit more, that's a little bit further along the journey than they are. I have never, ever, ever said that I'm an expert, that I'm a guru, that I'm this, that I'm that. I will always share my journey. And I think when I do that, you can see that I'm not an expert or a guru, but also that I'm further along than many of you. And that's so helpful because you want to get help from somebody who has been where you are and then they got through it and they're out the other side and they're on to the next thing, right? So that's what it's like for you with your numbers and metrics and stuff like that too. So then anyway, they get the free things. They're in this holding pattern. They buy some low ticket offers that you've got. Again, you're going to have a bunch of them. You will see for yourself which ones work. Keep selling the ones that work, put the other ones on hold for a little while, try and make a few new things based on what you're learning about your audience. And, like there's so many ways to figure out what your audience really wants. You can go into your Google Analytics and you can see what pages they spend the most time on. Use that for some clues, right? If they're on your services page, make a freebie about your services. Yep. Or the benefits of it, or a case study, or something like that. You get the idea. Anyway, after they've gone through and they've purchased some low ticket things and they've had some more emails, more touch points and things like that, now some of those people are going to be ready. They've finished their course, they've finished their degree, they've finished the divorce, they've had the baby, the kids have flown the coop, whatever it is that's going on for them. And they're ready, and now, et voila, they book overnight in your diary. Done. Without you needing to do anything, because this is already set up and going. Okay. So when you're looking at your calendar and you're saying, my website's not working, you can't say that with any degree of confidence because you just don't know, because it's not being measured. Okay? So this is why when I work with my clients, like especially in Practice Momentum, I ask them all every 90 days, show me the numbers, right? I need to see the numbers so that we can make a strategy. It's really common for some clients to say, give me the next strategy. I've done this. I need another strategy. I can't give you another strategy if I don't know what strategy is needed by the business, okay? The way I know what's needed is by looking at the numbers, all right? And you don't not track your numbers because you don't have a booking. You don't throw it all out because you don't have a booking. No, we need to see where it's bottlenecking. And if it's bottlenecking at the freebie, if it's bottlenecking at the first page on the website, if it's bottlenecking at the booking, right? The way that they've got to book or something, that information tells us, okay, we need a strategy that's going to get it flowing again, that's going to release the bottleneck. If I don't have that number, if you don't have that number, what's going to happen is you're going to start piling on bucket loads of strategies that keep you really busy, make you feel like you're working really hard, but are never going to solve the problem because they're not addressing it, right? If you think the website's not working because I don't have any new inquiries this week, so I'm just going to go and redo my whole website. I'm going to go and change it back to the way that it was. Or I'm going to go and do this thing or that thing. But those things don't address the problem. This is how overwhelm happens. And it's completely avoidable. And the clients of mine that had success early on and that are continuing to have growth, like revenue growth, like you wouldn't believe, are the ones that track their numbers. Okay. So you must do it. And, just be mindful about what you're making the numbers mean. Sometimes people say, oh, I couldn't even look at my numbers because I'm so ashamed that I didn't get any inquiries, and it means that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm bad at this, and maybe I should go back and work at Bunnings, or, you're making it mean something because you don't have the numbers, right? If you had the numbers there, you could say, I don't even know if my website's working or not. I mean, it looks like I'm getting some traffic over here, but I can see, on average, people are clicking off after they get to this page. Or I can see that they're coming over to the booking page and they're not taking any action. Okay, let's go and have a closer look at the booking page and see why that might be. Because the fact that they clicked on the booking page tells you they were interested in booking, which tells you there's not actually anything majorly wrong with the website. It could be because you're using a bloody contact form instead of a book now button. Oh my gosh. It's like, I don't get why people hide behind these contact forms and then wonder why they don't get clients. Like, you got to have a booking button, people. Anyway, and then when you've got that insight and you're like, oh, well, my booking page does say, book here. And then it says, send us a message, and it's got a contact form. Maybe if I change this and I have a booking button, or I explain the process, or I add a little video telling them about how to book and what to expect, or something like that. I can make one change. What change would make the biggest difference? It's probably going to be adding a booking button. Great. I'm going to give that a go, measure it for 30 days, 90 days. Let's see what happens, right? Now, when you have that knowledge, what's now happened to you thinking you're bad at marketing, you suck with websites, it's, what's happened to the imposter syndrome? It doesn't exist anymore because you have context. You understand why it's not working. So please do yourself a favor and look at your numbers. There is no shame in the numbers. The numbers tell us what to fix and focus on. Without that information, you are going to stay in overwhelm, in bright, shiny object, world where you're like buying all of the things and trying all of the things, and nothing's going to change unless it's a fluke, and just by some random fluke you manage to buy a course that solves a problem. But that would be an absolute fluke. Okay. So yeah, understand what to measure. And then the other thing too is you need a goal, right? So the reason that we need a goal is so we know what we're measuring. You have a set of industry benchmarks, right? On average, small businesses that send emails to their clients have an open rate of 20%. Great. That's a email benchmark. Then we want to have your goal, okay? And underneath your goal, we need to know where you're sitting now. What is the starting point for us? If you have a goal of, I want to, get inquiries, great. How many inquiries do you want to get? What services do you want to get them for? When do you want to get them in by? You have to be specific. Otherwise, again, you're going to end up in overwhelm because you're directionless. You don't have direction. Very important. You must have direction. So, the other thing is you need to know your conversion rates. So, have a look if you've been in business for a little while and you've done, discovery calls, for example. Go and have a look and say, well, I've done 100 discovery calls and 50 of them became clients. Great. Now we know that for your business, you need to have 2 inquiries to get 1 booking. You've said you want 4 new bookings this month, which means you need 8 discovery calls booked minimum. I would say do 10, but anyway, you need about 8 if you're getting 50%. Great. Okay. I need 8 discovery calls. Perfect. What are you going to do to get 8 new people to book a discovery call for you this month? I don't know. Okay, let's go and have a look at your numbers. Let's see what's working. Well, we can see that most people came over to your website because of this post that you put on Facebook. How about we tweak this post and we include a different call to action to book a call with you? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is why we have to have these basic things in place. And then if you've got your benchmark there for your business of conversions being, say, 50% in this example, you might say, I'd really like to get my conversions to 55% in the next month. Or, by the end of the year, I'd like my conversions to be at 70%. Great. Now you've got a goal. And now we can drill down on that and we can look at, okay, what's happening on the call? Who's booking, who's not, what are we doing in terms of follow-up, what's the attendance like, what's the structure around it. And you can really focus on that, and that might be like your biggest lever, but it might not necessarily be the biggest lever for somebody else in their business, which is why you shouldn't be looking at other people's businesses and going, oh, she's posting on Facebook all the time and I don't want to do Facebook, and therefore stop. Focus, measure against yourself. Have the industry benchmarks there for context, and then start looking at your own numbers and set yourself goal and strategy based on what your numbers are telling you. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. Yeah. So anyway, in other news, I said I would just quickly touch base with you about what's happening behind the scenes with my business pivot at the moment. For those of you who are following along, who might be planning a pivot or in it too, or something like that. Yeah, I was saying to my friend yesterday, like, isn't it so crazy how it's like dominoes? You think to yourself, I was like, okay, so I'm going to pivot the business, blah, blah, blah. And I think in my mind, I thought, oh yeah, I changed my messaging, I'll change my offers, then I'm just going to change the website. But it ends up being bigger than Ben-Hur because there are all these other things that pop up that you just totally deleted from memory. Like, for example, I had to go and make new freebies, right? And then for each of those freebies, it's email sequences, and then connecting the email sequences, and then it's application forms, and then it's working with Claude to connect stuff. And it's like, big. It's just like big, 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 big. But it was so funny because on Monday I was working with Claude and I was like, oh, okay, Claude, this is everything that is on my mind. And I just brain dumped. And I said, yeah, my big goal is this. I feel like these ones are the most important. What do you reckon? Da, 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 da. And he was like, yeah, let's get these emails sorted out. So I was like, okay, great. So I thought it was going to be quick. Okay. I'm familiar. I don't have to go on a big learning curve. I know how to do it. I thought it was just going to be quick. But I forgot, like, the way I like to do my emails is to include free things. So you don't have to do this, by the way. I'm just sharing like how I do it. But if somebody goes and takes my quiz, for example, they're going to get an email from me saying, hey, just checking you're able to do it. I hope it worked out for you. If you've got any questions, let me know. By the way, here are some free resources. And so I like to include a few resources just as, well, they're gifts, but the gifts do a few things. The gifts hopefully help somebody. And hopefully they give somebody the impression I know what I'm doing and can help them, right? I want them to feel more confident with me. And I want them to go, oh, these freebies were so good, like that they, next time they see an email from me, they like quickly click on it and they scroll down to the bottom so they can get more freebies, right? So anyway, I think I put 3 freebies on the delivery email for my quizzes. And then I've got a nurture sequence and I'm still building it out. I think I've got 3 emails in there. Ideally, I want to have 5 to 7, but I've done 3 so far. I thought it was more, I swear. And the first one has also 3 resources that I made from scratch. And then the second one has 3 resources. And then yesterday I did the 3rd email and I think I got 2 or 3 resources in there. It might just be 2 because one of them is like a super special one. Anyway, and then I didn't just like duplicate all of that because I didn't want people who download multiple freebies to start getting all the same free resources. So I had to go make different stuff. So this is what I'm saying. Like in my head, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do my delivery email, my email sequence, easy peasy. Totally forgot that I like to make all these resources. So that took time making resources, and two, for myself to test what resources work and what ones don't and stuff like that. I've included like different types of resources. Yeah, so that's taken a while. And then, I was making a video for somebody yesterday showing them like my process. And when I was clicking on one or two of the buttons, they weren't going to the right link, which was really great because it gave me an opportunity to go and fix the links. I haven't published my flows yet. So yeah, if you want the free resources, hold off for a couple of days because I haven't connected the flows to everything yet. But yeah, now I know, remember, mental note, go back and check before I do publish them that all the links go to the right places. So there was that. And then there've been other things around that with the business too. Like, I don't know, like looking at, I use Thrivecart for a lot of stuff. So I'm like unpublishing a lot of the Thrivecart stuff. It needs its own facelift with the new branding, which I haven't started yet. There's onboarding things I need to do. There's offboarding things I need to make. It just got really big. So yeah, by focusing on the way that I prioritized it was by saying, okay, I'm going to focus on the things that work for me, that future-proof my business, that help new people who are new to my world, and that deepen things for people who are already in it. So I've just been trying to use those as my little North Stars, and I'm really proud of myself, which I know that's the second time I've said that in this episode, and I don't think I've ever said it before, but I am, because normally I would be going off on the tangent because of the ADHD, but I put some strategies in place, like anchoring back into what's going to shift the needle for me the most quickly. Because yeah, otherwise, of course, there's so much other stuff that I'd like to be doing. Like I've got it in my head now that I want to do a 90-day challenge to build my school community, like to take it from maybe 100 members to 300. Is that possible? Or, well, anything's possible, right? Or what if I set myself a goal of 1,000? I mean, I really do believe that anything's possible. Anyway, I'll think about that. It's not my priority right now. I need to finalize things in the business that are based on my pipeline, that are based on my visibility, all those kinds of things. And just like what I've been sharing with you, it can look like a lot, but if you think about it, imagine three horizontal rows. On the top row, you've got all the sort of touch points where people can find you, okay? And then in the middle row, you've got your free things, your email sequences, your low ticket things, those email sequences, all of that. Now, all of that happens without you after you've set it up. But that middle chunk there takes the most amount of time because it is work, and because you can't rush it. Like, some of the ladies that, I know, I will give them a strategy and then they'll come back to me like in 24 hours and go, done, next. Like, what do I do next? I'm thinking, how the F did you get that done in 24 hours? And I'll go have a look and it's crap, like what they've done. Like, it's just not a good standard in terms of getting them closer to what they want. Like, I might say something to them like, hey, the next strategy is going to be, let's tighten up the messaging on the homepage of your website. So it really speaks to your ideal client, lets them know that they're in the right place, that you've got like the solution to the problem, whatever it is, depending on what their business is and stuff like that. And I'll give them some formulas and I'll give them a resource and stuff like that. And they'll come back to me and they'll go, even a couple of hours later, they'll go, done, and I've updated my website. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then I'll go and have a look at it. And it says something like helping women, 50 and beyond with their confidence. I'm like, what? No. That's not going to surface. That's not going to help you with your marketing. And then I go back to them. I'm like, hey, no, we've got these formulas here that you can use while you're learning, right? I really do believe that things like templates and formulas and structures and frameworks are so helpful when you're first learning how to do something, because you need the scaffolding, kind of like training wheels on a bike. You need the scaffolding there. Otherwise, you might get wobbly, okay? But once you've found your rhythm, you don't need to be relying on the formula and the structure and, all that anymore, because you develop your own approach. Kind of like when you're a therapist and maybe it's like your first year out and, I'm speaking from my own experience here. Like when I first started, I was so nervous I was going to muck it up, right? And I wanted to make sure that I didn't. And so one of the things that was very big at the time, way back 30 years ago, was to have a structured clinical interview. And so to make sure I didn't stuff it up, I had something called the Mental Health Handbook, and it was on a CD. I know, definitely show my age. It was on CD-ROM, and you could print off all these worksheets and use them in your sessions. And they had a structured clinical interview, and I used to print it off before every new client. I used to pop it onto a clipboard. Yes, I had a clipboard. I know, very embarrassing, but I did. And I would go into a session and I would let them know, this is what we're doing today. I'm gonna be asking you some questions. And I would just work my way through the structured clinical interview. But it gave me so much confidence because I knew I was getting the things I needed to be getting. And after having used it so many times, it was like it was embedded into my memory, right? You ask this, then you ask that, then you ask this, then you ask that, and you do this, I could do it in my sleep. And I didn't need to be printing off those forms anymore, and I didn't need to have a clipboard anymore. What I did was I just took a little exercise book and a pen in with me in case something was mentioned that was important or, relevant or special or stood out or something like that. And I just jotted down a few key points. And then after I would come out, then I also knew what I'm meant to be doing with the information from that structured interview. And I could just do it, right? It's the same with your business. It's the same here with doing any business strategy, whether it's your messaging or anything else. You do need a process, a strategy, a framework while you're learning. But the more you use it, the less you'll need it, is what I'm saying, okay? And your confidence grows. So don't rush through things just to tick it off your checklist. Give yourself time to do things properly. There is no point rushing through making a freebie, using somebody else's template, not editing it, putting your logo on it, stuff like that, and then praying a client's going to download it and wondering why they don't, right? And then saying to me, yep, done it, got the freebie up. No, that's not how we do it. There's a strategy, there's a process, all of the things. Rushing doesn't work. I know there are going to be some people that are neurodivergent like me, and they're going to go, oh, well, hyper-focus. And yeah, you're the exception. I know. I get it. I know sometimes you can work through things quite quickly, but hyper-focus doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing a poor job of it. You can be in hyper-focus and do every single step to a high standard. You're capable of that, and many of you do. This is for people who feel like they're under pressure, they're rushing, and they're like, I've done all the things, and nothing's working. I'm like, but you haven't done any of them well. Like, it's not going to work if they're not done well. No, we have to go back. And then they get frustrated because now they've got to go back and they feel like, I've already done it. Why do I have to do it again? It's very frustrating. They don't like it very much when I say we've got to go back and fix that and we've got to go back and do this. They don't like it very much. And I understand completely. But, we're not here to be liked. I don't care if you like me or not. What I care about is that you have what you need to achieve the result that you want. Okay? Not here to be best friends. I understand that. But there are going to be times when you work, whether it's with me or whether it's with a different mentor or a different advisor, or a different consultant or a different coach and stuff like that. And, they might just keep loading you up with strategies instead of actually fixing what's wrong. I would much rather you don't love me in the moment, and you're mad at me and you're angry with me and you're I'm not your favorite person, but you do the thing and then, hey, it starts to work. That's better for me. That's better for you, and that's better for your clients, okay? Anyway, it's so much fun. So yeah, that's what's been happening in my business. So I've been more quiet with some things because I'm focusing on these big things over here. But once they're done, they're done. And then I get my life back, which is awesome. And then I can do more of this stuff. So I was already thinking that I was going to do like a 90-day visibility challenge for myself for the business. But I still can, but now I've said this to you earlier in today's episode around my school community. Maybe I do it to build the school community, and I can walk you through what that looks like, make you a little roadmap. So if you want to, make your own community and grow it, you can see what worked for me and what didn't. And I can share the stuff with you in real time because I love to do that. I did that for Practice Momentum last year or the year before, I forget. Some of them wanted to start an Etsy store. So I was like, okay, I'll show you what it looks like. And so they had access to all my data, including sales data, refunds data, all of this in real time. I love to share that because transparency is so important. But anyway, I hope that this has been helpful. Track your numbers. If you're a client of mine, chances are I've given you a KPI tracker. If you don't know how to use it, there's a video in the tracker that shows you how to use it. Click that link and watch it. If you still have questions, let me know. There's no shame around your business baseline being zero for a lot of things. We just need to know where we're starting, and we need to know where you're going. So set the goals and then look at the strategies, start implementing, start measuring. Very, very straightforward. And if you need help, of course, let me know. If you are wanting help around this, you might want to consider putting in an application for the foundations group. So that starts in September, and I'm keeping the group to 5 or 6 women, and it's just for 90 days. We're going to meet 3 weeks out of the month. So we'll be meeting week 1, 2, and 3. Week 4, we don't meet. That's just for your catching up, implementation, stuff like that. And everybody works on 1, maybe 2 goals, depending on what the goal is. Because sometimes people come in and they've got a goal of, I want 17 new clients, and they think that that's the goal. But then when we have a look at the business, there's actually a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed or corrected or put in place in order for that to happen, which means sometimes one of those other things needs to be the goal, right? So it's for that, and it's a group. So if you're somebody who likes to be in groups and wants to connect with other women and finds that stuff valuable and helpful, this could be an option for you, you can go to my website and you can read more about it and submit an application. And if you prefer one-to-one, you can apply for Practice Momentum, which is one-to-one, or you might like to do a retainer model around private advisory and mentorship. So all that information's on the website, but applications are open now for September intake for a bunch of things. So go over there, have a little bit of a look around. Don't download a freebie yet though, because I still haven't put the email sequence as published. And if you do want those resources, it's best to wait. If you don't want those resources, no problem. Cool bananas. Go and get the free things now. Okay, I've got to scoot. I hope this was super duper helpful. Thank you for your time again. Thank you. Bye. Be sure to check the show notes before you click out, because I often do leave goodies in there for you. Thank you so much for listening and being part of my world. Have a beautiful day. Bye.